Robbins Nation. This is Todd Robbins from Robbins People East. Welcome to all of you guys to our next CoFIT-20 class. So thank you very much for coming out, guys. We are actually getting towards the end of our CoFIT-20 class, which is amazing. For those of you who have not been here before, welcome. This is a series of 20 classes that we put together at the Robbins People. I'm Todd Robbins. I'm a physical therapist. I work with other awesome physical therapists that you're going to be seeing, teaching all sorts of stuff from home. So we started this class because of the pandemic to give some of our patients and our friends something to do at home when they weren't leaving their house. Luckily now things are kind of opening up a little bit more, so we're optimistic about that. But there are still some people that are staying at home, so this is information for them. We offer all the information for free. All we ask is that you share it. So if you know anyone that would benefit from this, please let them know about it, and just get more of this information out there. That's what we love to do as physical therapists, is educate. So this is a great opportunity for us to educate remotely as we get through the pandemic. One thing I do want to emphasize with you guys is to pay attention and to listen to your body. So our class today, Jay is going to be going through some great information, talking about some balance and core, and just working on some dynamic stability. So as you're doing some of the things that Jay is going to have you be doing, if you're having pain or problems, or your body's telling you this just doesn't feel right, please stop, okay? At this point, you can kind of modify the activity or just take a break, or just kind of try the next one. But if you are having pain with these, that is an indication that maybe you should talk to a medical professional. Okay, good for you guys. We are medical professionals, as it turns out, and you don't need a prescription to come see us. And for all of our CoFIT-20 class participants, we offer a free evaluation. So we're open in all of our offices in Easton, Phillipsburg, and Lebanon. So if you want something checked out, we are taking people on site to do free evaluation if something is bothering you. So please reach out to us, 908-454-2404, and we'll get you set up. You can talk to one of our great therapists. Again, we'll get through our medical disclaimer here. So guys, these are intended to be educational. Again, this is not medical advice, all right? Just information. We try and do a broad range of topics for all sorts of different people. So some people may be appropriate to do some of these, and some people may not. So please be careful while you're doing it. Listen to your body. Again, this is not medical advice, just education. So please listen to your body. All right, so without further ado, we're going to get on to Jay's class today. He's told me that if you have maybe like a cushion at home, a broomstick, or a PVC pipe of some kind, maybe some bands, those will help you through the class. You don't need those in order to do the class. But that's some of the tools that Jay is going to be using. So guys, please enjoy this class with Jay. If you have questions while we're going through, please comment, okay? We're following that, and we're going to be answering your questions as we go through. Jay's doing the class, and me and some other therapists will be answering questions. So please comment and ask questions as we're going through it. So we're going to start that class now, and this is Jay's class. So thanks everyone for coming, and enjoy.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Robbins Rehabilitation CoFIT-20, our CoFIT class series to keep you guys healthy, strong, and mobile. And thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you guys checking us out and learning about some exercises that we like to do in the clinic here. We love having you guys tune in, so it's a great thing. If you ever have any questions, please don't hesitate to give a call, check us out, stop on by. If you just need some more than a question and you have an issue, a lingering issue, don't hesitate, give a shout, and maybe have to schedule an initial evaluation for a free evaluation. It doesn't cost you anything, and it's just a one-on-one talk with a therapist to address whatever ails you, whatever aches you have, whatever issue you're coming up against with your physical abilities. So lots you can do with that, and that's what the CoFIT-20 is all about, keeping you guys moving. Okay, so today's topic is single limb stance, single leg stance, balance and stabilization. It's a good thing to be able to do. Why? We're looking for some dynamic core bracing. And so we want to do that for functional flow and agility with the hips, with our balance, with our control of the body. For today's class, I think you may have seen it in Ryan's email blast for this. If you have a cushion, a pole for balance, a yoga mat, and a band to go around your legs, and also a stretchy band, we're going to use all of that stuff today. If you don't have them, we're still going to do it. It's not a hindrance. You'll still be able to do the class. So just helpful if you have a cushion to stand on, like it could be a cushion off the couch or anything, a pole, or something you can kind of lean against when we're standing on one leg. You don't need a pole, you just need the surface to bounce off of. A yoga mat for some grip if you need. And if you have a band that we'll be able to pull against, that'll be helpful. So, what the heck are we talking about? Today we're talking about single leg stance balance. It's important. Why is it? What is it? As we age, Father Time and Mother Nature are kind of working against us as we're getting older. Gravity seems to get stronger, and the brain balance connection becomes more and more important to top off and keep on the good side. So also, as we age, our hip mobility and our strength become more important as well. So you really want to keep all that stuff topped off, because for whatever your goals are, you may have goals as an athlete, as a dancer, or just to maintain your balance, or getting around in the garden, getting around outside, and not wanting to use an assistive device or a cane. You want to maintain your balance, and you always want to try and make it better. So we're trying to fight against Father Time and his aging, and Mother Nature and Mother Nature's effect on gravity. So maintaining and progressing strength and mobility with the hips is important for our balance, maintaining and progressing our balance ability. And so with increased balance, we're going to have increased function and functional mobility, which is very important. And that's important for, we want to progress and maintain our strength and mobility with the hips for our balance. With increased functional balance, we're going to have increased functional movement and increased health, and important and above all is increased safety. So we all want to progress our performance abilities and all kinds of stuff, but really we want to keep ourselves safe and healthy. So we want to stay off the ground. We don't want to hit the deck. So we want to have good balance. So this is what this is all about, strength and balance. So why is this a single limb stance focus? A couple of reasons. This is our spine, back side and front side. Our legs pivot in the hip sockets, but we sort of cantilever off of the spine. So if I'm standing on one leg, we've got the opposite side working. So single limb exercises are really good for maintaining our balance and our strength. So it's good stuff to do. So contralateral, so opposite side, balance and strength are really important for that brain balance connection. It's really, really important. So the better you get at that, the better we have, the better you have. Using cheat sheet today. And so again, increased strength, function, and mobility equate to stable balance. And stable balance equates to increase performance and safety. That's paramount. So we really want to get you guys up to speed and should keep progressing that through a lifetime. This is a lifetime thing to do. All our sports, all of our passions, hopefully our lifetime passions. So we want to keep our exercises are growing, are progressing as a lifetime goal. So again, it's single-legged, opposite-sided, balance, and strength. So that's what we're working on today. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to do it through exercising, for one, and for two, we want to maintain our mobility. So we're going to do some functional stretching and functional lengthening of muscles to make sure we're very supple. The stretching and the mobility stuff just keeps us very supple. We want to have supple movements, supple spine, supple hips. So just nice fluid movements and really nice balance and posture, and all of that stuff leads to good health, good movement, good circulation, posture, all the good stuff that keeps us healthy, active folks. Okay, so let's get into some exercises first. We're going to do some really basic stuff and then kind of shoot up a little harder. So the first thing we can do is a nice way to start off with any kind of running, walking, exercising for the legs is to do some lunges, because they're really a nice way to warm up. You can sort of progress into them slowly and then increase their intensity or their functional stretch as we go. So let's start off with some lunges. What we're going to do first, we're going to, you can if you'd like, hands on the hips, and we'll take a short step out and we're going to drop into it. We're not going to go for a forward, really deep forward lunge. We're going to come out, my back heel comes up, and we're going to just kind of drop in to a lunge and push out. We'll switch legs. We'll drop in, the back heel comes up. Got a nice core posture. I'm stretching and moving down into that. A little bit of a hip flexor stretch, maybe a calf stretch, and then pushing back out of that. So we use this as a nice warm-up, and that's very good for the balance. When you're coming down into this, you're going to land, you're coming kind of straight down. Again, we're not going forward. We're sinking 50-50 between the front foot and the back foot. I'm thinking about engaging my big toe through pinky toe and my heel on the forward foot. Got a nice strong quad, and I'm thinking about being planted on the knuckles of my big toe through pinky toe on my back foot, and my heel is up in the air, stabilizing and centered through the core, pushing out of that. So it's a nice way to dynamically warm up. You can do them statically, or you can do them dynamically, just moving through, getting some circulation, getting them rolling. Nice to do. Little by little, you may find that you can get a slightly wider stance as you get warmed up. You get your blood going and your muscles become more pliable. Soft tissue gets warmed up. You can go a little deeper. You're going to feel that in your quad muscle as you drop that knee towards the floor, but you're still planted. Big toe through pinky toe and heel on the forward foot and knuckles on the back foot, heel in the air, and have a good core posture and breathing. Helps if you exhale down into it, inhale out. So just using the breath, using a reciprocal motion, and we're getting some balance there. So that's a really good place to start. Shake that out if you like, and feel that here. That's a good exercise. It's a great thing to do. So that gets things warmed up. Another thing we'd like to add is hip hiking. So again, we're going to talk about that contralateral motion, muscle engagement, and balance. So we're going to just have a nice tall stance, hands on the hips, and we're going to lift out of that hip. So I've got a nice tight core. I'm lifting straight up. I'm not bending my knees. I'm just tilting my hip up. You're going to feel that in your lower back. Some quadratus lumborum lifting up there. Lifting up. Holding the core nice and tight. Lifting up. So your opposite side is lifting. You've got your foot on the ground, planted. You got big toe through pinky toe, engaged. Your heel planted. You're just lifting out of that hip. Got a good, solid stance. And if you want to progress this a little bit, take your cushion, and if you can, stand on one edge and drop. And we're on, so let's back up a little bit. If it's pretty easy to balance on regular ground, and it's no problem, I can do this all day long, you can always challenge yourself and make it a little harder to stand on an unstable surface. Try and find your balance and try the hip hike again, but you can also do this on a step on a stable surface. The goal with a higher height is to let the hip drop further to get a decline in the hip and then a higher raise. So you're adding a decline in the hip to the rise. Again, declining and raising it up, declining and raising it up. So that's our hip, dipping and lifting, dipping and lifting. You can do that on a step at home. If you want to use the unstable surface but kind of work into your balance a little bit more, you can use your accessory pole and find your spot. Have a nice gentle hold and just dip that hip and raise it up. Again, your knees are straight. You're not bending knees. The only thing that's tilting is your hip and your spine. Little by little, try and use a softer touch on the pole, using your balance. Maybe holding on for just a soft touch, not even a hold. And eventually, no hold at all with that hip. So always working on your balance. You're going to feel your foot going all over the place. When you're on the unstable surface, it's going to feel like it's burning in there, or not burning, it's getting to work out. It's because it's getting a workout. So a good thing to do. That's hip hiking. So again, opposite leg, opposite side, muscle activation. A lot of working going on here. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is some bridging, and we're going to do a couple different kinds here. Bridging is important for posterior chain and strength. We're going to add into it a balance factor and control with the hips and the core. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and lay back on the floor, find a nice comfortable position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to engage my core, nice and firm and connected. I'm going to push up and squeeze my glutes. I've got a good core hold, a good glute hold, and now I want to think about having level hips because we're going to kick one leg straight and hold that. Really hold through the core. This is a tough one. And bring it back down. Kick with the other. Hold that. Hold the hips level. And then come back down and come back down. This is a pretty tough one. It's a really good exercise. What your goal is when you're in your bridge and you're kicking with one leg, you don't want that hip to drop. The hip's gonna want to drop. You want to control that hip height and level with your core, and you're bracing in the glutes. So a lot of core postural control going on here. For cadence, we can add a 5-second hold on each side and then come down. So here we go. We're going to bridge up with a core hold and glute hold. We're going to kick one leg for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on down. Keeping the hips up, core posture, the glute hold. Keep the hips level. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hips down. And we're done. So that's a good progression. So if that's okay, if that doesn't bother the back, that's a very good exercise. If it is a little painful, or if you feel like you're doing a lot of work there and it gets a little tight, you can grab the knees, do a little bit of rocking, maybe some rocking this way, just to loosen things up again, because that's a big hold. Now, another way we can challenge us is with a band. I've got my band. This is not a stretchy band. This is a belt. Again, we're going to put this at the knees, and we're going to do the same thing, but as I'm pushing up, I'm also pressing into the band, trying to really stretch that band. I'm working on my hip strengthener, lateral motion strengtheners, my hip abductors, the muscles that are pulling the knees away. I want to strengthen those as well. So I'm going to have my band. If you have a belt, it's perfect for this. We're going to push up. I'm pushing out with the band, and I'm going into my kick. Going into my kick. And coming down. So you may find that a lot easier than doing the bridge without anything, because it's a pretty stable thing, because you're really engaging those hip abductors. So go ahead and try another one of those. You're going to push up into a bridge, kick one leg 5 seconds, and then kick the other for 5 seconds. If you find that it's tough on your neck and you're getting a little stiff, just do some rotations at the neck for a second, and then we'll move on to the next. The last sequence of the bridge is we're going to grab a little ball. You can use a cushion, a can of beans, whatever you got. Because all we're going to do is squeeze this between the legs. We're going to squeeze it between our knees. Again, we're going to engage our core. We're going to press up with a glute hold, squeezing the ball. One leg goes forward, really using that hamstring, holding the hips level with the core. Coming down, switching legs, squeezing, pressing, coming down. That's a tough one, but it's very stable. So we'll do that one more time. We're going to find our core, engage it, draw the belly button towards the spine. We're going to press up into a hold. If you can, kick one leg straight for 5. Bring that down, keeping the hips up and level for 5. Coming down and relaxing. And that's a very good bridge sequence. Again, bridge. We're going to bridge with a squeeze. We're going to bridge by pulling our knees out into the belt. And we're going to bridge just with nothing. Always doing the hip kick, thinking about level hips. That's a torsional kind of hip stabilizer, so it's a good thing to do. Okay, that's a pretty tough one. So I applaud you guys for doing that. That's a very, very good exercise. All right, we're gonna raise it up a little bit now. This one's a little tougher. We're gonna do a single leg stance squat. It's a lot of balance, a lot of strength in your squat. So we did some warm-ups by doing the lunges. So we got our quads fired up and working, warmed up. So now we're going to do a single leg squat. You can do it with a pole if you feel like you want to have a little bit more balance. If you don't have a pole and you have a table or a wall, you can sort of get that hip next to the wall, and we can do it that way as well. So what we would do is we would come up onto one leg, holding our core, holding our hip. We're not letting that hip droop. We want to have a level hip. And you don't have to hike it real high. You want to have a nice level posture. You're going to feel your foot doing a lot of counterbalance work. And if we can either have the knee bent or you can go straight. We're going to come down, even if you come down just this much, and come up into a squat. I can't go very deep with these, but it's a big balance challenge. This is the balance challenge. So we're coming down into it. You can bring your hands and your legs forward, coming back up slow, switching sides. Bring it up, find your balance, come down slowly, coming up. Want to make it harder? Hands overhead. Come down, coming up. Just don't hit the TV up top. Coming down, coming up. And if it's a little bit of a challenge, again, you can use your pole. And I like to sort of glide my hand on the pole when I do this with our patients in the clinic to get them started. They can use a nice firm grip and get used to this. And then as they get better, which you always do, the more you do this, you get your brain balance connection fired up. You can sort of glide the hand down the pole. The pole just sort of becomes for reference. And then when you're rocking and rolling in a single limb stance squat. Pretty cool. You've achieved all this balance, strength in the core, strength in the hip, and agility in the hip sockets. So that's a good thing. Maybe it's too easy. If it's too easy on the stable surface, go to the unstable surface. Try this. Grab your cushion. Come up onto your cushion. Find your balance. And coming on down slowly, because your body is going to do all kinds of corrections as you work on your balance. So the more corrections you get, the more that all those synapses are firing. It's like so much brain connection going on here. So what's on the ground? Just your foot, and your foot's on an unstable surface. So there's so much mapping going on here. A lot of stuff. So again, you're just coming up, finding your balance. Coming on down. You've got a nice firm core. You want to load into that glute. And you're just coming down. Woo. And coming on up. And we find you have better balance on one side than another, which is pretty normal. Not a big deal. So if the balance is hard, regress a little bit, use an assistive device or pole. If the balance is too easy, challenge it through changing the surface. The surface change makes a big difference. So, single-legged squats. You can do these. The thing that's nice about these exercises, you can do them anywhere. You don't need a lot of equipment, and they're a really good challenge to remember. Again, if you go on to Robin's Rehabilitation or Robin's Rehab, is it Robin's Rehab East? Robin's Rehabilitation East on Facebook, you can find all these things loaded up. And so you can always recap what we've done and find the original ones that we put up. There's 13 of these, I believe. So there's lots of classes out there now. So you can always go back and check them out, and there's more to come. So if you want to look at this again, you can go back and check it out, and you'll get to review these. Okay, the next one we're going to do is a single-legged stance, hip snap up. And the gist with this exercise is using the core balance. Now we're going to make it active. We're going to direct a snap up. We want to direct the force. If we don't have connection with our force, if we don't have directional stability with our force, then we're going to throw that reaction all over the place. We want to have a nice force direction. So this is a really big time strengthener and stabilizer and balance maker for the hip. So I've got my band attached to a doorknob. So if you have somewhere you can attach a band to, and I have it doubled up, because I want a pretty rigid hold here. If you don't have a band, that's quite all right. We add the band for a little bit of tactile sensation. It's not necessary. But the gist of this exercise is we're going to drop down into one leg on that glute, and then we're going to drive with the other leg and snap out of it, controlling the direction of our force. So if you're a dancer, if you're a soccer player, you're a cyclist, you want to have really good force direction for efficiency, for quality of motion, for everything we're doing. So here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to have the opposite hand to the leg I'm kicking with. So I'm going to be standing on the right leg. I've got my right hand on the band. I'm going to come down into loading my glute. So I'm almost sitting back into the glute. I'm not really holding on here, but I'm sitting into the glute. So I'm going to come into that, find the glute. So I'm pushing my hips back, and then I'm going to snap up into a tall stance at the hip. So I want that hip mobility. So each hip, they're going to go into an opposite or counter rotation. So we're getting that agility out of the hip. So I'm going to sink into my glute. I'm barely holding on with the cord, and I'm going to snap that up. Coming down, sinking back into the glute, and I'm going to snap that up. Switching hands. Opposite hand, opposite leg. I'm coming down, hold the core tight, sinking into my glute. Opposite hand is forward, and snap it up. Sinking down, loading the glute, snapping out of that glute. So I want to snap up into that and have a nice, stable direction. If you can do that easily, you're not getting knocked off balance. Change the surface. So now, I've got pretty much the most unstable surface we have in physical therapy. I've got an upside down Bosu ball, and I want to find center. So I'm going to put my arch over the center of the hole. There's a little inflation hole there. I want to get centered. Opposite arm, opposite leg. I'm going to find my spot. I'm going to get real stable on this as much as I can. And I need to move it back a little bit. So the setup on this is crucial. You want to find a good distance. Again, the balance is coming out of our leg and not out of the band. We're going to come down, load that glute muscle, and snap it up. Load it down, load the glute muscle, and snap it up. So the goal with that is when I come up, I'm really conscious of my balance. And when I snap that force up, if I'm centered on if I have good balance and control on the Bosu, when I snap that up, it's a straight vertical plane, and it's not going off and throwing me off balance. So it's a pretty advanced and a really tough one to try. You don't have to have a Bosu ball. You don't have to have a band to hold on to. You can do it flat ground, nothing at all. Again, opposite arm, opposite leg. I'm going to load the glute, so I'm sinking back. Try this out. We're sinking. If you need a pole, try with a pole. We're sinking back and driving that up. So it's a pretty advanced maneuver, but it's a really good thing for the agility and exercise stability, force direction. We want that perfect alignment of our force. Okay, so that's a really good, really dynamic exercise. This one is more of a balance exercise. It's called a single limb stance deadlift. So let's all try this one. We're going to come back to our tight core and single limb stance. So I'm going to engage the hips. I'm going to bring up one knee. So I'm kind of 90 degrees to the body, 90 degrees at the knee. So we call that 90-90. I'm going to bring one arm out to the side. So the knee that's up in the air, the opposite hand goes out to the side. I'm going to bend forward, and I'm going to touch this hand to that ankle. And keeping a nice core postural hold, we're going to sink down and kick my back leg flat or out, and then I'm going to bring that leg all the way back high. So that's the motion. We're going from a tall knee to a backward knee. So the hips are really getting this contralateral movement. You want that opposite motion, and you want a dynamic, stable ability in that hip. It's a tough one for you guys, for me, for everybody. So we're up on one knee. We're coming and opposite arms out to the side. We're got the core engaged. We're coming down. We're kicking back with the foot and touching the leg. Coming back up to a tall knee. Try not to lose your balance. It's not easy. If you need a pole, hand is out on the leg that we're standing on. So I'm standing on my left leg. My left hand is out to the side with my pole. I'm tall with my leg. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to touch for opposite leg, and then coming back up. Do this reciprocally. It's a heck of an exercise. And it's a lot of core, hip, dynamic posture as we swing through that. So it's a very good thing to do. And that breaks a sweat. So that's a pretty tough series of really concentrated stuff for your core and hip. It's a workout. So as much as working out is important and getting stronger, stretching and creating suppleness in the hips and core are very important as well. So I'm going to show you guys some stretches to do. So let's do that next. So the first thing we want to do, we can do a runner's, we call it a runner's hip swing. So this is also a nice warm-up. You're going to stand on one leg. You can have one hand for balance on a table or against a wall or on a fence, whatever you got. And we're just going to swing our leg front to back. You notice my upper body is static. I'm not going forward or backwards with the upper body. I'm just moving in that hip socket, just opening it up. So we'll do about 30 of these, front to back, and then we also do side to side swing and get some velocity going with that leg. And you'll find that's a nice hip opener. We're lubricating our hip sockets. All those joint surfaces are getting flushed with synovial joint fluid. That's lubricating fluid. It's also bringing in nutrients that the living tissue here needs to be nourished by. So it's good stuff. And it's getting mobility. So the runner's hip swing, front to back and side to side. You're at the mall and you're walking around, you're shopping, and my hips are getting tired. And this is a really good thing to do to wake them up, get some mobility going, and get some nice fresh fluid and some nourishment to the hip. So a really good thing to do. That should feel pretty good for you guys. The next thing we want to do, a couple kneeling stretches. So I'm on my yoga mat. If I need an extra pad, we'll bring a pad down. So if you have your cushion, you can use your cushion. What we're going to do, we're going to come down onto one knee. So the knee that we're kneeling on, we're going to stretch that hip flexor. So what I'm going to do, I'm on that knee, my core is engaged, I got a nice tall posture, and I'm simply going to shift my hips forward. My whole body doesn't do this. My upper body's sort of static. I'm just bringing the hips forward until I feel my stretch. When I feel that stretch, I'm going to put my hand on the opposite knee. And then when I get to that opposite knee, I'm going to turn my upper body into that stretch, holding the core. And it's a really good deep iliopsoas hip flexor stretch. It's the iliacus muscle and the psoas. You're getting a nice stretch there. If that feels pretty good, you feel pretty balanced, raise that hand behind the head and breathe and be happy that you're getting lengthening in the hip sockets or in the hip flexors. We do a lot of sitting as humans. We sit in our chairs at work. We sit in our cars driving around. We sit on our motorcycle. It's shortening in the hip. So shortening in the hip flexors. So the hip flexor stretching or lengthening is a really important thing to do. As physical therapists, we like to say sitting is the new smoking, because it leads to a lot of excessive sitting can lead to a lot of bad stuff if you don't reverse it by getting your stretches and doing your upright exercise. So hip flexor stretching is a good thing to do. You can hold on to these for at least 30 seconds, maybe a minute if you can, if your knee's okay. You've got a nice upright posture. You hold on to the core. And you're letting that lengthen. It's really good for the body. It's really good for our posture with the back to get these muscles lengthened and open. So it's a very good hip flexor stretch. As well, we want to work on our adductors, the muscles that pull together. So another thing we'll try is from this half kneeling position, we're going to do something slightly different. I'm going to bring both hands to the floor, find a comfortable spot. One hand will be kind of beside the ankle, and the hand that's beside the ankle, I want to bend that elbow and drop into the stretch. So that's a bit of a hip opener. Drop into that, maybe bring your knee out to the side. Maybe you want to kind of fish it forward and backward. Feel what feels good to you. You're going to find all kinds of nooks and crannies in there. Switch it up. Again, you may find a little bit more mobility or restriction on one side or the other. It's completely normal. You just want to find a comfortable spot. Dip your elbow and your shoulder and twist into that same side as the forward leg. It's a really effective stretch. Maybe fish around for whatever feels good. Maybe drop that knee out to the side, and you're just opening up that hip. That's a really good hip opener to do. We call those spider dips. Again, if you go back onto Robbins Rehabilitation East, you're going to get to go back through all these. So if you forget them, don't sweat it. They're going to be up there. So you'll be able to see all of this stuff. The last one I want to give you is what we call the shin box. What's a shin box? We're going to sit up nice and tall. I'm going to go to, if I can, knee and heel are together. So you can support yourself with your hands. You can get into this position. If you're a super ninja or a yogi, you can touch your sit bones to the floor, which I cannot do. I've been trying to do it for about 30 years, and I'm still about this far away, and I've not gotten any further, so I don't think I'm ever going to get there, but and my other side is worse. But nice upright posture. You may have to come out of it a little bit. Find out wherever you can be, but you want to get your knee and heel together and just feel that. Find your stretches in there. You may have to lean out of it a little bit. You're going to find that this may light up. We want to work on that. We want to get that, whatever is tight there, we want to get it loose. And then the unique thing about this shin box hip stretch is you want to pivot off of the heels and go to the opposite side. So I'm going to sort of sit tall, supported with my hands. I'm going to pivot off of my heels and go to the other side. Find my stretch. I may or may not be able to get my knee to the ground, which is most definitely not getting there. And I'm in a comfortable spot with my left hip. Find your spot. You may need to get out of it. You may be able to really get upright with this and stretch. Everyone's going to have their own abilities. If it's uncomfortable, you can add a bolster under your knee and just kind of find your spots. But we're just looking to get a nice stretch out of this. And you can do this back and forth, just rolling. So as you're doing this, we're sort of scouring the hip sockets and flushing them with fluid. You're kind of waking up the mechanoreceptors that we've been working on this whole time. It's a really nice sequence to do after all that standing on one leg stuff, trying to balance and get stronger. This is a nice closing sort of exercise. So that's your CoFIT-20 single limb stance dynamic hip stabilization class. I really hope that you guys were able to do some of the exercise and found it to be effective, useful. If you are finding any discomfort, pain, or instability, modify it and make it into a comfortable position for you. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call, send us an email, find out what we have going on for the next one. We have lots of information online at Robbins Rehabilitation East, and we'd like to keep you guys updated with what's going on. If you want to come in for a free screen to see what's bothering you with your whatever ails you, you're more than welcome to do that. We'd love to talk to you and get you working on the path to better health, better agility, better mobility, and better living. So thank you very much. Thanks for attending my class. My name is Jay. I'm a physical therapist assistant here at Robbins Rehabilitation, and I'm grateful that you tuned in. Have a great day.